Superman is a fun movie that turned me into a DC fan. I've seen it twice, so I've been thinking about it a lot. Superman kills Thing is one of the most underrated jokes in the movie. So I want to have a little spoiler discussion about the two things in the movie that I was on the fence about, and the future of the DCU. For the first time in my life, I'm excited for upcoming DC projects. I don't know, something about how this movie sets up the world. When I think about the future of the DCU, it feels like when I saw Thanos at the end of Avengers. Which is funny because we don't even know the big endgame boss yet. I have been thinking about upcoming projects and where I would want the series to go based off of what they set up in this movie. If you want a full review of Superman, good news, I already have one, alongside other videos on TV and games, so if you think that's something you'd enjoy, do that whole like, comment, and subscribing thing. For the comments, let me know your opinions on Robert Pattinson joining the DCU. That's going to be one of the main topics I talk about in relation to the future of the DCU, and it's one thing I really like reading people's opinions on. But first, let's go into spoilers. Ultraman was the one part of Lex's plan that I didn't really like. Not because I find cloning Superman dumb, it's more so an issue I have with comic book movies in general. I never liked mirror matches in my comic book movies. I actually kinda hate them, and it's way too common. I like the idea of Lex building a perfect counter to Superman while branding him as a better Superman. Like seriously, Lex naming him Ultraman is hilarious. Like I can see him yelling, no, his name needs to be Ultraman because he's cooler than Superman at some poor intern. He's so petty. I love him. And because mirror matches are so common, I was a little bummed seeing that that was the big climactic battle here. Granted, it was pretty easy to see that twist coming. As soon as Lex got into the Fortress of Solitude, I was like, oh yeah, okay, Ultraman clone, confirmed. I thought the fight itself was fine. I'm going to be honest, repeating 1A while doing attacks in a video game has become a part of my lexicon. And I do like how Superman gets crypto to destroy all of the cameras, so Ultraman is cut off from Lex. But until we see what they're going to end up doing with this character, I'm going to be a little disappointed by it. Cause like, there's no way he's dead. Depending on Kara's backstory, Kryptonians can tank black holes. I saw some people saying he's going to turn into Doomsday. I think he's going to end up in whatever universe the DCU's equivalent of Ultraman's universe is. Cause in the comics, he isn't a clone, he's from a universe where all of the heroes are bad and the villains are good. So if they ever elaborate on what happens to him and he gets more of a character, I'm going to be all right with his appearance in this movie. Side note, I don't care that it's different from the comics. As much as I've talked about comic book accuracy, especially in relation to Superman's character, I'm all right when people change things. I think it's fine to deviate from the source material if it works out. There are a lot of places where the Walking Dead show deviates from the comics. I like the good changes because it gives me a new perspective on this thing, but I hated the bad changes because I was just denied seeing the thing I love. Like Scott Pilgrim takes off doing its own thing after the first episode I liked because it was new and good. Related to this conversation, one change in this movie that I liked is that Clark's parents sent him to Earth to conquer it. Now his motivation comes from the parents that raised him. Like they are his real parents. So I think it works way better to have them be that driving factor in him doing good, especially because they're the one who taught him all of his morals. I guess what I'm trying to say is literally what Pa Kent says in that scene is why I'm all right with the change. Like that whole scene in that speech he gives Clark about your actions being what define you, I think validate the change to his backstory. Shoutouts to Pa Kent for giving the second best parental speech in a comic book movie. Easily the best one since Spider-Man. The main spoiler thing I want to talk about is the extra 20 minutes that I wish we got at the beginning of the movie. I've been thinking a lot about how exactly I would want that to play out because I've been pretty back and forth on it. Because I loved the opening text in the movie. The use of threes and lowering the time with each line is brilliant. It's just so comic booky. I love it. It gives the info in such a fun and perfect way. It really locked me into the movie to the point where I don't know how to throw 20 minutes to the front of it. One thing I thought about was showing the text as it is in the Arctic and then hard cutting to Superman fighting something when the text says 3 years ago. I don't care who he's fighting. I'm not Nando V movies. I don't don't know enough about comics to throw in a fun D-list Superman villain to have him fight here. For the record, I'm not associated with them at all, but this would have been such a good time to throw in a Nebula ad read. You know that would have been a banger transition. During that fight, we see Lex watching it and like, I don't know, taking notes or something. One thing that I think is lost with this movie starting where it does is that we don't get to see Lex slabbing out Superman's moves at all. I think it would have been nice to get one fight scene before we see the Ultraman as the Hammer of Bravia fight scene. Showing one fight sets it up better because by the time we see it in this movie, Lex already has it set up. After the fight with insert D-list supervillain here, we can get like a quick montage of Superman saving people before hanging out with Jimmy Olsen. One minor issue I did have with the movie is how little Clark we get in it. Upon rewatch, I realized that Jimmy and Clark only have one scene together. So having one scene of them at like a bar or a cafe or something lets us get to know this Clark better, and we can see their relationship a bit more. And while they're chilling on the news, they talk about how Bravia is heating up the conflict between them and Jarhanpur, leading to the 3 weeks ago text. Superman intervenes and we get to see it. Superman intervening with that conflict kind of feels like the inciting incident of the movie, so skipping it is something that made the pacing in the first act a little weird to me. Like, we don't need to see him having his chat with the president. You can keep that for the Lois interview because that scene is perfect. After he goes in and saves the civilians of Jarhanpur, it cuts. We now see news footage of Superman entering the capital of Bravia. The headline in the lower third says something about how Superman's actions have led to an attack on Metropolis. Pull through the TV to show Clark watching the news and getting ready to fight the Hammer of Bravia. As he leaves, the engineer gets ready to go to the Fortress of Solitude, and we can use that to bring us back to the Arctic. We don't need to see Clark lose to the Hammer of Bravia because he's about to fight him again. And that's when we get the rest of the text. 3 hours ago, the Hammer of Bravia attacks Metropolis. 3 minutes ago, Superman loses a fight for the first time. Superman lands, and the rest of the movie is the same. Showing the news already talking about Superman makes that one line from Lex where he says he's become the focal point of the whole world's conversation a bit less clunky because we have already seen it. I don't know if what I suggested would really help the movie that much. I'm going to be honest, I wrote it in like 20 minutes at midnight. I could definitely keep workshopping this idea to have it flow better with the rest of the movie to prove my point that it is 20 minutes off of being perfect for what it sets out to do. I'm not sure if what I just pitched was really that good or not. I kind of like it, but it needs more work. Let me know how you feel about it. And if you have ideas of what you would add in those 20 minutes, let me know too. Writing spec scripts was something I did really enjoy in film school, and it's been a while since I've done one, so I had fun with this. But man, it was hard to figure out a way to keep that opening text while adding 20 minutes to this movie. Anyways, lightning round of smaller spoiler stuff that I don't know where to put in the script. Mally's death works so well. Everyone online has already talked about how he lied about not having a family to protect Superman, which makes him a true hero. I think the main reason his death hits as hard as it does is how they did it. Entertainment exists in a rule of threes. Things always happen in threes, so we expect things to occur in threes. But Lex shoots him on the second shot. No matter what you were expecting to come out of that moment, we are trained to expect it to happen on the third shot, not the second one. That's what makes it so shocking. We're not mentally ready for the bad thing to happen yet because it happens a single beat too early. It's amazing filmmaking. Superman calling Gary immediately after he says he wants a real name is peak kindness. He didn't even flinch too. More peak kindness is when Superman says that Krypto isn't even a good dog, but he's alone and scared, and that's why he's turning himself in. Because it also shows that while he does have a connection to this dog because it's his cousins, this Superman's connection to someone doesn't affect his decision to risk his life to save them. All that matters is that he's scared, alone, possibly in pain, and needs help. In his worldview, no living being deserves that. That is why he does what he does to save the dog. He's just such a good guy in this movie. And obviously, the anger for stealing his cousin's dog is there. Where's the dog? The final spoiler I want to talk about in this video perfectly transitions into the second half about the future of the DCU. I really like the little bit we got to see of Supergirl in this. Much like the majority of the audience, I was taken aback by how she was acting, because I only really know her from from the CW show and from that one animated movie. Not because I've watched them, but because clips of those have always ended up on TikTok. But apparently, she's a hot mess from time to time. Specifically in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. That's the comic her movie is based on. I'm excited to see more of this version of her and poorly trained Crypto. And I'm curious what route they're going to take for why she's the way she is. I'm assuming it relates to the trauma of her remembering her planet exploding. And the only solace that she was given was to look after her baby cousin. And thanks to insert comic book reason here, when she lands on Earth, her cousin is older than her. I did see on Threads, so it's most likely not true, that James Gunn said that she is younger than Clark in this universe. My guess is that maybe she landed on another planet and was, I don't know, maybe raised by Lobo. Based off of the singular death battle I've seen it with that character, I think that would mess you up pretty good. I don't think he's in that comic, and I can really see James Gunn giving Jason Momoa, I don't know why I blanked on that name for so long, a bigger role in this movie because he likes him as an actor. I didn't mind him as Aquaman, I just thought he was a bit too dude bro-y. Oh man. So I feel like Lobo is going to be way more fitting of a role for him. But he's not the lead in this movie. Millie Alcock clearly had so much fun in the minute of screen time that she had in this movie, so it makes me really excited to see what she's going to do with this character in a leading role. I've seen a lot of fan art of her being body slammed by Crypto and a surprising amount of edits with the one scene that she's in, so I think it's safe to assume that people are excited to see more of this character. Apparently she's great in House of the Dragons. I don't know. I haven't seen it. And that's the only other thing in her filmography that I've heard of. Those are the only two castings I really know about. Even if I look through the other casting announcements, it doesn't really matter to me because I don't know who those characters are. I would like it if Superman made a cameo, but I'm not sure what form I would want that to take. I think it would be fun to show her dropping off Crypto before jumping into an opening montage, and then it ends with her picking Crypto up. Mostly because, you know, she rolled up to Clark one day, threw Crypto at him, said watch the dog, and left without elaborating. I think that would be a really fun scene to see. A part of me wants to read Woman of Tomorrow to prep for the movie, but I've always been by the school of thought that I would rather experience the stories first through a medium that I prefer. We recently got a teaser image that I really liked. Look Out is a perfect play off of Look Up and does a good job of showcasing the differences between Clark and Kara. But that's not the only project we're getting next year. Lanterns is a TV show following Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, not the late night TV show host. I know that's a very original joke. The showrunner was a producer on Ozark. I really enjoyed that show. I would recommend it. Most notably, and most important for this project, he was a producer on the first season of True Detective. That is the main inspiration for this show. I didn't know that he worked on it, so I hope he's able to recreate the vibe and the quality of it. I don't know enough about Green Lantern to comment on the casting. Someone in the comments fill me in. Legit, my Green Lantern knowledge starts at very surface level stuff and ends at Darkest Night is a really good comic book arc, I think. I've always wanted to read it. In my mind, it's always been up there with Flashpoint, but I'm not even sure if that's a good comparison. I'm just excited to see more Guy Gardner, especially because if it is more mature than Superman, I can see him being pretty unhinged in this. Oh wait, I forgot about Peacemaker. I have to watch the first season. Now that I'm like officially in the DCU, I really gotta watch it and Creature Commandos. I know it's not connected to any of these things, I just want to say it for the record. My Adventures with Superman has been on my radar for a very long time. I'm also bringing it up to complain that it's not on any streaming services in Canada alone. You need to get an extra sub on top of the one you already have to watch it. In a recent interview, James Gunn said that the big future event that he's keeping a secret is going to be teased in season 2 of Peacemaker. I have no idea what that could even be. I don't read comics, so drop theories down below. That is definitely going to be my main reason for watching season 2 of that show, but I've also heard nothing but wonderful things about the first one, so I should really watch it. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it while editing this video. Clayface I'm excited for, not because I care about the character. I care about Mike Flanagan, who's made some stuff I really like. The best among them, in my opinion, is The Haunting of Hill House. Please go watch that show, it's really good. He apparently wrote a banger treatment for it, and that's the only reason why we're getting this movie. I guess that also fits into the themes of gods and monsters that this first phase exists in. Speaking of the gods section of it, I'm excited for the 2 Wonder Woman related projects. The Themyscira show seems like a fun idea, mostly because I don't really know anything about Wonder Woman or the island she's from, so I think it could be a fun introduction to her world for me. And I hope they keep her casting a secret until the end of the show. It was recently announced that the writer for Supergirl will be writing Wonder Woman, which makes me even more excited for that movie that they are satisfied with it enough to give her another project. Despite knowing nothing about Wonder Woman, I have opinions on who should play her. I think it's because I keep seeing fan casts on TikTok, so now I'm just thinking about it more. I have 2 criteria I want met for DCU Wonder Woman. First off, cast an actress who's like Mediterranean, Middle Eastern, looks like they're from that general area. Make her look like she's from an island somewhat close to Greece. Second, cast an actress who's over 6 feet tall. I would prefer if she was taller than David Cornsweet, but that might shrink the pool a bit too much. She's an Amazonian. Make her tall and jacked. One of my buddies was telling me that sometimes her fighting is very like WWE or wrestling inspired, so I feel like going for an actress with that build would fit that fighting style perfectly. I think the main reason why tall Wonder Woman is borderline non-negotiable for me, someone who has only recently become a fan of DC and has no say or power in what goes on in the DCU, is that I love the absolute Wonder Woman design, Buster Sword included, and I want her to have that sword in the movie so bad, man. So like, you're going to have to make her 6 feet tall if you're going to use it. I really want a scene where she ties a lasso of truth around the handle and swings it around like a madman. Do it to parallel the laser spin from Superman. Make her fight like Impa and Hyrule Warriors, using her whole body to swing around the sword. I think it would be so fun, man. So yeah, cast somebody who looks like this and is tall enough to wield this. I think the only thing that can convince me away from wanting the absolute Wonder Woman design, if it doesn't fit the core of her character. My lack of comic book knowledge is really showing here. I don't even know if people are enjoying absolute Wonder Woman, so it might not even be a good idea to include anything from it. There's a bunch of other projects announced that I don't really have a whole lot to say about, but the final thing I want to talk about is the last member of the Trinity. And the big one when it comes to speculating about the DCU, it's the Batman. As of now, The Brave and the Bold is going to be the first DCU Batman movie, which will most likely lead into the Teen Titans project. I'm assuming the Robin in Brave and the Bold will be in both of those. But here's the issue. I really like the Batman. I think Robert Pattinson is the best Batman, by far. Not even close. So recasting him while we're still getting Paddington feels kind of silly, because now you're going to have competing movies for the same character, and it's just going to confuse the general audience. So what are you going to do? You can't not have Batman in the DCU. The easiest option would be to have Batman join the DCU like Peacemaker did. Just shrug, say it's canon, and move on. We are going to get wildly different tones from project to project, so I don't think it matters that the Batman is way darker than Superman. Side note, they're both PG here in Canada, so I think that's just purely a US ratings issue, but I think that's a strength that they can use when bringing these two characters together. I can see those opposites attracting very well. More so than any other Batman and Superman casting, I can see these two being really good friends. They both do a good job of being a guiding light for the people of their cities. And sadly, can't show it here, but if you take the one fire shot from the Batman and line it up with the dust shot from Superman, they parallel each other so well. I hope they framed it like that in Superman on purpose. I think it can work really well, unless if it messes with Matt Reeves' version of Batman. Ultimately, whatever is more important for that version of the character and his movies is what I want them to do. If he can work the DCU's world into the Batman's Gotham without sacrificing anything, I hope they go for it. If he can't, don't do it. I will take a less interesting DCU Batman if that means the Batman 2 is better off. The issue that the DCU will likely run into if they do inherit the Batman has to do with Robin and Teen Titans. Pattinson is very early into his Batman career. He hasn't had a single Robin, and I'm pretty sure he's on his 3rd or 4th by the time Brave and the Bold happens. So there will be growing pains when pulling him into the DCU, so I really hope they're able to sort it out if that's the route they want to take. Because if they are able to work it out, I feel like the singular projects are going to be better for it, because it will allow us to explore this version of Bruce Wayne in ways that we won't be able to in a smaller universe. Like, I'm really curious how Pattinson would react to Superman. The fact that we haven't heard anything about Brave and the Bold in a really long time is interesting to me, and combine that with the fact that the script for the Batman 2 finished within weeks of Superman's release. I just think this whole discussion and the fan base is really interesting, and I'm really curious what is happening behind closed doors at DC Studios. At least it's one I find interesting because I understand every argument. So please let me know what you would prefer in the comments down below. That was a main thing I brought up at the top of the video for a reason. It's something I am truly curious in. Every single time someone has told me they've watched Superman, I have asked them what they think about the Batman joining the DCU. And with that, I think I'm done yapping about this new fandom I found myself in. If you've enjoyed this video, please let me know by liking, commenting, and subscribing. This is kind of new territory for the channel, so I wouldn't mind knowing if my current viewer base is alright with me talking about DC Comics. Shut up, CinemaSins. Or if the DC community on this site would even have me. Do you agree? Think I'm an idiot? Comment down below. Like the video if you're a punk rocker, and subscribe for more content. Follow me on other platforms if you want. Take care, guys.